Land. Land is indeed the last colonial question. The truth is that whether it was the French or the British, all the colonizers, the first factor of production, you remember that the major factor of production during the agrarian revolution was land. And therefore what you took was land. They came to our societies. We had our own unique methods of dealing with land. Land belonged to nobody. It is the proceeds or the profit of the land that belonged to the person who worked the land. In fact, there is a story in Kenya amongst a people called the Jibana, who, when the British came and they said that the land belonged to the Queen, he said, how can land possibly belong to the Queen? Land belongs to God. And one of the British people sarcastically said, yes, we know land belongs to God, but the Queen will hold it on behalf of God and distribute it to you in form of leases. And therefore, the radical title remains with the Queen. And that is what they did. The best of land everywhere in Africa, whether it was in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, South Africa, much more perniciously, Zimbabwe, much more perniciously, Mozambique, Angola, everywhere. And indeed, I dare say, the struggle for land was the struggle to regain. The struggle for independence was to regain the land. That it was never anything, it's freedom and land. Because land is what defines you. Kenya's Ali Mazrui, in one of the most celebrated documentaries, Africa, Triple Heritage, says it is the piece of earth from which you come and into which you will go that defines you. And that anybody who takes that land undermines your very humanity. That is how land, that is how important land is. The history of South Africa is well documented and well written. I don't think that there is anybody in South Africa or in Zimbabwe or in Namibia that disagrees with the fact that land was improperly expropriated. That is a given. In Kenya, what the British did, and I think this is the model that they tried in Zimbabwe, that the British government itself, in an acknowledgement of the reality, actually did provide money for Africans to buy land from the white farmers. But remember that the history of Kenya was very different from the history of South Africa. In fact, that model was to be applied in Zimbabwe, but they never went through it. The reality, therefore, is, how do you deal? And I think, and this is an area where I must read very cautiously, because you have in South Africa a white population that holds the view that this is their land, that they have nowhere else to go. That is the difficulty of the situation in South Africa. But they must also know that it is untenable for a small population to hold over 60% of the land. You can only postpone the problem. In other words, if I were a white person and an owner of land, I would be the very first to organize my people and to create an environment where we negotiate land out of our hands in a programmatic manner. Why do I say so? Because if it is not programmatic, it is likely, and I'm not saying this is what will happen. If you look at the history of Algeria, when the Algerians when the French could not retain what they want, they went on a destruction spree. If we cannot have it, nobody will have it. Do I have a solution? My solution is that the South Africans have a solution. Why do I think so? I've been watching very keenly successive leaders. It is a hot potato. It is a hot potato, and I've listened very keenly in the recent past to President Cyril Ramaphosa. He is talking to chiefs because they also have interest in land. He is talking to the white farmers. But I think ultimately there will be a sit down. And at that sit down, and this is my prescription, those who hold land must be told, if they are not aware, that if you continue to have this land without accommodating the majority, it is untenable. And let me give you a small story that I keep on telling in different fora. If you organize a dance and you have a music set that is producing the music, and you don't allow people who want to be in the dance, they have a very small choice. They destroy the equipment and there is no dance. The wisdom of the occasion demands that you accommodate them and make them part of the dance. How do you do it? That must depend on the unique circumstances of each country with the political and collective wisdom of that country, and it would be arrogant and irresponsible for somebody who has flown from Kenya to purport to prescribe how it should be done. The person from Kenya can only say one thing, that it is completely untenable for a minority to hold the bulk of the land, and the sooner they realize it and the sooner they begin releasing a critical mass of it, the safer they themselves are.